So one of my partners, for example, is amazing at sales. I mean, he sold massive roofs. Just sold a $250,000 roof, single roof, homeowner too. It's not an apartment complex, it's a home. And so he's great at sales, but my job is, how can I get out what he does to succeed to be able to teach others, right? And that's a skill I've learned from College Works, and being able to manage and teach the systems. Is College Works does an amazing job of having a very organized system to teach students so they can gain those business skills. If College Works is very unorganized, it wouldn't be nearly as efficient as it is. And so how can I pull out that skill that he has to be able to sell the roofs? And how can I be able to create a system of training and a process to be able to hire someone, teach them that, and replicate it?
Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to spread the show around. We've got a great one for you today. We have Conrad Kaminsky, hired gun CEO at age 23. He's going to talk about the path to that dream. He's going to talk about the role and daily life of a 23-year-old CEO. He's going to talk about excellence being constant improvement and extreme ownership. And we're going to get into the good side of stress. Welcome to the show, and welcome to the Edge of Excellence. Well, Conrad Kaminsky, thank you so much for taking time to get off the tractor, stop plowing those fields of grain, quit tending to the cattle out there in Omaha. Welcome to the Edge of Excellence.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. It's going to be fun.
By the way, before we get started, I just have to mention, and sometimes I mention this on the shows, this is not a show of accuracy. This is a show of dialogue. Sometimes it gets a little off. I'm trying not to be a bully. That's one of my new things I'm focusing on. So when I start stereotyping places like Omaha, Nebraska, bear with me. Humor over life goals. My life goal is to be kind.
Don't worry. We got tough skin.
You got tough skin. All right, Conrad. Well, we're going to get started the same way we always start. And that is, I need to know, what is your definition of excellence?
Awesome. Yeah. So I was thinking about this, and I think because I'm young, the big thing is I kind of have a saying I like to live off of. And that saying is extreme ownership, constant improvement, right? I haven't made it yet. I'm always trying to improve. You can always improve. But in order to do that, you got to have extreme ownership. There's a lot in life you can control. There's a lot you can't control. But you got to be able to take ownership of what you can control and make your own destiny happen. And that's what I'm trying to do, make my own destiny happen. And in order to make that happen, I got to constantly improve.
Okay, so it reminds me of my harmonica I got here. Here's my harmonica. Oops, harmonica. You know, my daughter is in music, and I thought maybe she should learn to play the harmonica. She didn't want to do that. I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Blues Traveler, but the singer of Blues Traveler actually has a PhD in harmonica. So I decided I need to learn harmonica. I found his address. I sent him a letter, said, hey, I really need you to teach me to play harmonica. The letter came back undelivered. And I started taking some lessons, and I'm horrible. I can do the choo-choo train. I can blow one single note is really hard. That takes like a week to figure out one single note. I am improving.
There we go.
I own it. I haven't been practicing. It's still in the box.
Extreme ownership. I love it.
Does that make me excellent, though, at the harmonica?
No, it doesn't. It depends on if you're constantly trying to improve and constantly taking that extreme ownership. I think, it's what's the edge of excellence is the podcast. And for me, I'm always wanting to be on the edge of excellence. I always want to be trying to push to what's the next excellent thing, right? That's the point of the constant improvement. Maybe being excellent is hitting a goal, a standard that I've set. But constant improvement is not saying I've hit that goal, I've passed that edge of excellence in this specific topic, task, goal of mine. I'm just going to stop.
I never know how old people are. I was talking to my daughter yesterday. I took my daughter up to LA. A buddy of mine's a filmmaker, and he flew out from New York, and he was editing film. And, Kennedy doesn't know if she wants to do English or do writing, science. She's also into music. So I called it career exposure, and we drove up to LA, and we sat in the editing room, and it was amazing. It was so cool.
Love that. Yeah.
And then we're walking down the street, and I saw someone with some cool shoes, and I said, "Hey, I like your shoes," which drives her absolutely crazy. She says, "It's so weird, Dad. You can't tell people you like their outfits." I said, "Why not?" And she said, that person was like 18. And I said, "I don't know the difference between 18 and 38. I'm 50.
Yeah.
Everybody looks the same." So I didn't know you were 23. I mean,
Yep.
I know I worked with you for quite a few years.
Yeah.
Your dad came out here. I had lunch with your dad, which was so awesome. I don't know of any other dad that's ever flown out to have lunch with me, and he was awesome. I just never knew that you were 23. So obviously at 23, you haven't gotten excellent at a lot of things, but you've been pretty good at things. Could I offer to you that maybe it's being good at something naturally or because of practice that you're constantly improving in and having extreme ownership because of that harmonica? Then you start dealing with core competency, and you start dealing with everybody starts off sucking. You start dealing with the patience of sucking, and everybody in their 20s wants to be retired by 30 and is got this Instagram pressure all the time to stop sucking because you're not there yet. So I'm going to offer up something that you're naturally good at or good through practice that you take extreme ownership of, and you have constant improvement.
I love that. Yes, I love that for sure. And I think you definitely are hitting a point when it comes to interests, right? Having interest in something can definitely help with pushing towards that improvement. I think that's really my big thing for my career is I wanted something in the construction industry. That's where I have my interest. It's really important for me to have ownership about the business I'm running, have ownership about improving, developing, and each of those skills that you're talking about. But having that underlying love for the industry, I think is important too, for sure. And I think that does drive a lot of the motivation for that improvement.
Yeah, find something you love, find something you're interested in, and it's a lot easier to get to 10,000 hours. It's a lot easier to own it. It's a lot easier to not feel like you're working. All right, That is fantastic. Now, we're going to back up a little bit because you're a strange story. First of all, you're kind of I was going to use a bad word, but I can't use a bad word on the show or any more bad words. Kind of a meanie, because we had a good thing going, Conrad. We were hanging out. I remember one time I looked at your outfit and I said, "Hey, you can't wear those clothes anymore. It looks ridiculous." So I bought you some clothes. And I don't know if you know this, but Marky Mark owns that company that I bought those clothes from. Did you know that?
And I didn't. I wear them all the time still.
I'm not talking about like a lame member of the Funky Bunch, the Mark Wahlberg. I didn't know. I knew my buddy was a part of that company, which is why I got that code. But I was watching some Marky Mark show because who doesn't love Marky Mark?
Oh, everyone.
And it's one of the gazillion businesses he owns. A shout out to Municipal Clothing. So I bought you clothes and I was making fun of your shorts, which again, I'm trying to work on my bulliness. I've got my spiritual guru. I'm trying to be nicer. And then we went and bought the clothes. It turns out you're right and I'm wrong because the clothes I bought you were exactly the same clothes you were already wearing because you have a better fashion taste than me. But we had a good thing going. And as I remember, we'll get into your high school life and we'll get into your college life. But I guess you came and you started working at College Works when you were a sophomore, I think.
Yep, I was a sophomore, first year at K-State.
Yeah, so you were a sophomore. And were you the best manager that year?
No, not even close.
Were you not that good?
I did 90. I did good.
90's pretty good. I forget 90's not that close. That's great. Hey, if you do $60,000 or $50,000 at College Works, you're crushing it. Love you. Get some reference letters to you. That's a big number. 90 is a huge number, but I know people do bigger numbers than that. So, but I knew you. I came out. We did some activities in Kansas together. But then you became a district manager. And so, I get a lot of contact with the district managers. And then you were the best district manager, the rookie district manager of the year. And I believe that year you did $1,009,000.
Yep. Well, 7,017,000 was what we ended off. Very close, right there.
You snuck another job in there after I checked the stats. So you were the
Probably did.
first person ever to do $1 million as a rookie district manager. I believe we have a statue with your face on it, right? You know what's weird? We do. And for some reason, we didn't send it to you. So yeah, I make a statue. Anybody that does $1 million, because first there was one, then there was two. I think there's only 5 people in the history of the company. I'm writing it down. Conrad statue. Yeah, we have a statue in our office with your face on it.
Oh, cool. Great.
And the reason why we have that, the first person to do $1 million was kind of an egomaniac. And I thought, what would this guy really want? A statue with his face on it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know you're the exact opposite of an egomaniac. You're a giver, you're a lover, you're a philanthropist, but we're still going to give you the statue because we already have it. And
that's okay.
It didn't get sent out. And I found that out from Jack as well. So you're the first person ever to do $1 million. And then you come back and you did district managing again and had some huge numbers. And then we had this weird conversation. And, it always makes me sad. I want everybody to work here forever. And I know College Works is a stepping stone business. This is not an advertisement for College Works. This is an interesting part of the story. If you're listening right now, we only have College Works in the Midwest. We know you're in California. We know you're in Washington, D.C. We're going to get to the good stuff. But here's what Conrad did. And he said, Matt, I'm leaving you. And I went, what are you doing, dude? You're not leaving us. You're going to start a business with us. We got a future. We've got all these companies you can go work in. We're not letting you go. No, I'm leaving. And I said, okay, you're leaving. You're going to go start the competing company of Tesla. No, I'm not going to do that. You're going to go fly to Mars. No, I'm not going to do that. You're going to become governor of Kansas next week. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, Conrad, what are you going to do? And you told me that you were going to spend a year working in manual labor, learning all the trades. And I said, what? And we had this long conversation, and you had this theory that you wanted to start building houses and become a home builder, and you had this plan. You had this theory that if I go out there and I learn all the different elements of building a house, also called trades, I'm going to be a carpenter, I'm going to be a tile masonry type person, I'm going to learn the plumbing, I'm going to learn the electrical. And I'm sitting there going, Conrad, you're absolutely crazy. Do that for a week. Conrad, you're a nutcase. Nope. This is what I'm going to do. So you made me eat my words, sort of. And we're going to get to this. We're not getting to it yet. But yeah. Conrad left the year he graduated from college. He graduated from college. Conrad's only 23 years old. Joined a company, not the company that his dad hooked him up with, not the company that his godfather was trying to hire him from, not the companies I was trying to hook him up with. Had all these opportunities and started working in a random company where he knew no one, Sawfield Roofing, right? Sawfield Roofing.
Yep, Sawfield Roofing.
And started off in November of 2021 as a framer and proceeded to go on the path that he had laid out for me, this weird path that nobody ever heard of. But wait a second. It's April 29th. So let's see, December, January, February, March, April. So it's been 5 months. So by now you've done your 3 months of framing, and you must have moved on to 3 months of the next trade, right? Is that what's going on?
Not quite. Things went a little differently.
What happened?
Okay. So as I was learning the skills of framing, and you're absolutely right. The skills I was trying to gain goes back to, if you want to play College Works, is painters usually make great managers. Why? Because they have the back end experience. They know how it works. And this is kind of something that I was learning as a young man from my dad. He wanted me to work my way up, be a manual labor guy. So then when you're managing these people, you know what they've been through, you know how they feel, you know the resources that's required for them to succeed, etc. So that's what I really wanted to do with home building, is I wanted to feel what it felt like for the guys that are going to be on my team, the guys that I'm going to be supporting, guys I'm going to be providing jobs for, and how can I make their day a little easier? How can I make them make more money? And how can I improve the home building game? So with these guys, as I'm the manual labor guy, I got to frame a few houses. We put on a Tesla roof. We did some really fun deck projects and some different things like that. So I was gaining the skills. I saw some of these inefficiencies, and some of it just came with, some organization, some systems, things like that. We can all improve. And so I slowly started adding some of my value. Hey, let me make an inventory list for tomorrow, so we're prepared. Let's talk about what we need to get done tomorrow. What's our plan for the week? What extra materials do we need to order? Things of that nature in order to show my value. From here, I've been talking, it's off season. We run very similar to you guys, seasonal wise, because you got to have the warm weather for the tar strips to stick on roofing. So we also run very much a summer. So we've been doing a lot of sales, and he knew I had some sales and management background. This is the second partner who does mostly the sales side of it. And so he said, if you would like to work with me too and getting everything ready, give me some input, I would love that. So through these last few months in the winter, it was a combo of initially all manual labor, helping out some of the production side from what I've learned, and then now helping with the sales side. From here, we really decided that path we want to go is focus. So we want to focus our business on roofing. Right? We did a little bit of everything, but it's not as efficient. It's harder to scale. We want to really be able to grow and provide a larger impact in the community. So we're focusing on roofing, and I'm helping create the systems and plans for that. So I am now CEO of the company.
Yeah. So we have to stop for a second here. Wait a second. I'm looking for my yellow flag. Oh, I got one. Yellow flag.
I was waiting for you to cut me off where you wanted me to stop.
I don't know how many of these episodes I've done, but I'm kind of on a mission to help bring patience to your generation. And I tell everybody, you're not going to be CEO by the time you're 23. You're not going to be able to retire by the time you're 35. And I promise you, Conrad, you're not retiring by the time you're 35. But so twice you proved me wrong. Once I said that's a dumb idea. I didn't say it that way. I probably said, do you think that most CEOs have done all the different aspects of the business? Do you think that so-and-so? And you said, shut up, man, I'm going to go do it my way. So I kind of talked to the 20-somethings about listening to other people and gaining knowledge from other people. You skip that step. I talk about, hey, you know what? Look at the long term. What are the real pieces? You kind of had your own path. But the one thing I say, and I've had many episodes, many people on to show the real path is you're not going to be CEO by 23 unless you start the company yourself. And it's not going to be that big of a company when you're 23. And you're definitely not going to retire by the time you're 35 because you're going to be bored. You're going to go crazy. You're going to want to keep working. So you proved me wrong on 3 of the 4 things. So you came into a company, and we're going to get back to your path. But at 23 years old, 1 year out of college, you come to an existing business at the absolute lowest level. Well, I mean, you were made 175 grand your last year of college or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well below your pay scale, well below your skill set. And you start, and I love what you said here, Conrad. This is non-Gen Z adding value. You said, I'm going to bring my value. Now, a lot of people in your generation say, what are you going to do for me? And they go do an interview and they're like, here's why the company's so great for me. Don't care. Why are you great for the company? So you got that old wisdom in you and you're thinking, how do I add value? How do I add value? And I know you're not a selfish dude. You're an altruistic dude. You were doing it to add value. You weren't doing it to get a promotion. You had your plan. And I know you're bullheaded. I tried to break you down, and Sean tried to break, and we sent a whole army of people to break you down. You're bullheaded. But you're sitting there adding value for the right reason. I want to improve the business. I want to help it grow. Now I'm going to move on to the roofing project next because I still want to learn my skill set. And this company said, wait a second. And these guys are smart guys, right? They plucked you early. They said, if we don't take this kid now, we're going to lose the opportunity. And at 23 years old, 5 months out of your last job, I think 7 months out of college, they made you CEO of the existing company. That's a pretty decent sized company. The existing CEO moved to chief operations officer, which right there is, boom, it just baffles my mind. Some 23-year-old is going to come in and take my job and I'm going to move down. So what a mature guy. What a great business person. What a great thinker, putting the young guy in the big seat and letting him go with it because he thinks, and I guarantee he'd do a better job than you right now. And I hate to say that, but I'm 50 and you're 23, and I just can't even contemplate that. And this show's not about accuracy; it's about my opinion. So he moves aside and lets you become CEO. So you are the first guest that I've ever had on my podcast that actually got the CEO job before 25. I know everybody has the goal. I didn't think it was possible. I also didn't think it was possible for a rookie to do $1 million. And here you are. Congratulations, Conrad.
I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And, I haven't taken a step back to think of it like that. And I think that's, a part of my bullheaded stubbornness is to try to constant improvement. How can I keep growing? How can I keep helping?
Wait a second. Hold on. Where's my flag? Here it is again.
Another flag. Go ahead.
Another flag. What have you not stopped to think about? Have you not stopped to think about, oh my God, look how awesome I am? Or have you not stopped to think about, oh, look at this company. How mature is this company? How zen is this company? Or have you not stopped to think about, who are these leaders I'm now partnered up with? These guys have got a good head on their shoulders. Which of those three have you not stopped to think about?
The personal pride thing.
Oh, the old I don't pat myself on the back routine.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of interest in that. I do definitely recognize the strengths that the partners bring quite a bit. I think that's one reason we're transitioning into the roles we are. We recognize that each of us have a very different strength that we need together. And so they are very mature in the business way, which I love, to be able to work with them. Great group of people, great company. All right,
stop again.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a community service announcement. Community service announcement. If you are listening in your car right now on 1.5 speed and you've been crushing it, congratulate yourself. If you got an A on a test or a B on a test because you never get B's, congratulate yourself. If you woke up this morning and you didn't think 3 great things about yourself, stop the car right now, pull over, write down 3 great things about yourself because it's important to celebrate. Now, I know high achieving people, and I'm kind of the worst of it, are constantly trying to fix. It's broken, fix. But it grinds you down. So we have to stop and celebrate ourselves, celebrate our second. I'm not saying pull over for a year and celebrate. I'm not saying join the van life and pack it in and retire at 28 because you just got your first deal. But I am saying we got to stop and encourage our psyche and say, hey, Conrad, that's an unbelievable story. Hey, Conrad, you took some chances. So if you're listening right now and you want to be Conrad, first of all, it doesn't happen, but you can be Conrad in your 30s. You can be CEO by the time you're 30, maybe, if you take the right steps, but celebrate those steps, right? Celebrate adding value to the company. I'm a good guy. I added value to the company. Celebrate that you're doing things that nobody ever does because that'll give you the energy to keep doing it. And the goals are like a horizon. You never get there. So a little community service announcement. Celebrate, and we are celebrating Conrad. But before we get into your story, Conrad, we're going to break a script here a little bit. Conrad, I've been talking to your dad, and I've got a yes, no, and some multiple choice questions for you. Last time I talked to you, you were living in sin and moving to Omaha. Conrad, your dad and I want to know, are you married yet?
So we're engaged.
Oh, no, that ruins it. Because my next question was, because I thought you were going to say no. And my next question was, is that because you don't know that she's the one, you love living in sin, or you're afraid of commitment? And that's when it was going to get really funny. But once again, I'm stifled by Conrad.
That was not on purpose.
Okay, well, I'm glad. Well, none of this was on purpose. You didn't purposely set out to become a CEO at 23 years old. You probably didn't purposely set out to break my heart and leave my business. And I probably should have known you were engaged, and maybe my old brain didn't remember you're engaged. Congratulations. Your life's going great, dude. You're 23. You're CEO of a company. You've got a ton of money in the bank. You got a beautiful, wonderful, fun, intelligent, perfect, professional fiance, not girlfriend. So let's go back in time. How did all this happen? What was life like in high school? You're wakeboarding with Ashton. You're playing football. Did you know in high school that you needed to get ahead, or were you just kind of going through the motions?
I think I always wanted to be successful, but I put no pressure on myself at the time to work for it any career-wise. Me and Ashton, work in the summer for my dad as manual labor guys, just making money, chipping concrete, sweeping shops, things like that. Just typical manual labor work. Once in a while, we'd goof around. I'll give my dad some crap back here. We did some lawnmower races and some ice basketball, and just typical high schooler going through their manual labor job. So we didn't take it as, seriously as we should, or just career wise, but we were both always super competitive when it came to football. I think that was my big difference, is I put my energy there and towards my athletic potential career instead of my professional career, because you're in high school. What else matters besides, playing football, hitting the pads, and going to school? That's all you got to do.
You missed one thing. Flag. Got to throw another flag.
Flag.
You got to think like the average person. So most people and I know it's hard. Most people in the U.S., not most people, but a lot of people, they got their kids in sports or they're in sports, and the parents are saying, "You can't work, Conrad. You've got to be ready for football. Conrad, you've got such a commitment with football. You don't have time for work." And I hear from my own wife. I'm like, "No, Jill, the kids need a job." So you're doing your best. You don't really have this long-term view. You're just doing your best. You're having a good time. You're in sports. You're not really in sports because it's teaching you team building skills. It's teaching you hard work. It's teaching you perseverance. It's teaching you communication skills. It's teaching you interpersonal skills. You're in it because you love football, right?
Absolutely.
But you also had a job. So
correct.
You have school, you have football, you have a social life, you have a job. You're not trying to be the best. You may not be aware of it, but you're competitive. So you're, getting pretty good grades. Were you getting pretty good grades?
Yep. I graduated the 4.0.
Okay. So you're getting perfect grades. You are playing football pretty well, because I know you played football in college. You're hanging out with the right people. And I don't know how Ashton was in high school, but I know Ashton now. He's a sweet guy. Like he's a sweetheart. And that's a weird thing to say. But if you think about his heart, he's got a sweetheart.
Absolutely.
But you weren't so conscious that you were kind of headed on this path to 23 and CEO. You were just kind of on the path having a good time.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's fast forward.
So fast forward first year college.
Yeah, let's do that.
First year college, a very different looking Conrad. I was almost 300 pounds. I was a lineman. So I played center, and I went to Benedictine, where again, I was going to get a business degree, but the focus was football. Nothing really career-wise I was, pushing hard towards. I've always loved construction. I love building. I didn't know if I wanted to go commercial, residential, etc. I did know I wanted to be the boss. I wanted to be a CEO. I've seen that, from my dad. I've seen that from other just career examples in my life. And I knew I wanted to run the show. I was the captain of the football team. That was important to me, because I wanted to help lead the team. I've always been a natural leader in everything I've done. So I had no extreme goal of being CEO at 23 or anything like that at this time. I also, at this time, is when all of my injuries started stacking up. So I can't straighten my arm.
Neither can I.
There we go. Okay, twins there. I had ACL surgery. I tore my pec, pretty much did it all. Ligaments in my both ankles. And so I decided, it was really hard for me, but I decided that I'm going to hang up the cleats. And, I'd always say, I want to be able to walk when I'm 45 and go play outside with my kids and all that stuff. And the way I'm going, I'm having to tape up with splints and everything just to go practice. And so I had to make a decision. This is not healthy for me. This is not good for me. That's also why I transferred. I love the school, but I decided I'm going to go to K-State as a fresh start.
Okay. So your dad was a role model to you, right?
Absolutely.
He's in business.
Yep.
He probably helps you make sure you have a job and do sports. So you're naturally looking to your dad for guidance. And if you're listening right now and you don't have a lot of role models at home, you can go find other role models. And I did a podcast yesterday with a buddy of mine who became a tennis pro when he was really young. And, his parents were really good role models, but he talks about throughout his life, he found other people as well. And he said to show gratitude and let them know what they taught you. And I've talked to your dad, and I know you tell him, and I know you tell your mom what they taught you and how thankful you are. You've got this great relationship. And if you're listening right now and you haven't told your mom and dad how thankful you are, give them a call. Stop the car first, press pause on the podcast after you hit the subscribe button. Give them a call and let them know, not just that you love them, not just that they did great, but specifically what they did. Show gratitude specifically. So you got this role model dad that you're utilizing. And then you had kind of a serendipitous win where your body broke down and you had to change your program. So you go to K-State, where they have Varsity Donuts is the name of that place. Varsity Donuts. If you're in Manhattan, Kansas, Varsity Donuts is well worth the stop. So you go to K-State for a fresh start. Now, at this point in time, did you realize, okay, I don't have football anymore, I got to do something to get ahead, or was it still serendipity and just chance that brought you to me?
So my number one thing was, I said, okay, I'm now not playing football. I don't have to eat a ton and be 300 pounds. I'm going to cut all the weight. I'm going to cut it all. That was the only thing I was really focusing on. So I spent that summer until about December. It was about 5 months, and I cut about 125 pounds. So I dropped from 300 pounds, about 180. I was only eating chicken, rice, cardio, and lifting. And that's what that in school. Those were my first semester my big focus.
So that's two things that were long-term. Your joints are falling apart. You're not going to go pro, right? So why spend the next 4 years trashing your body and unable to walk at 23? And then the second choice was, it's not healthy to be 300 pounds. I need to lose weight. And again, you get to your commitment you get to your action planning, committing to your plan. So you've got these life habits. And if you're listening right now, it doesn't matter what your goals are. This is a system that Conrad has. Identify the goal. And these are long-term goals. I need to be healthy. I need to walk. What are you doing it for? So what's your goal first? 1, goal. 2, why. If you don't know the why, you're not going to be into it. 3, make a plan. And your plan was chicken and rice, cardio, lifting.
Yep, tracked everything.
Track it. 4, measure it. And 5, you got to commit to your commitment. You didn't have chicken and rice and then a bunch of ice cream on the weekend. You commit to your commitment. You track it. You miraculously lose 120 pounds in 5 months. And now it's December and somebody comes into a class and you decide you're going to try this stupid painting thing.
Exactly. So I was sitting in math class, and actually it wasn't until March. I was sitting in math class. By this time, I'd done a bunch of research about internships. I like to know what I'm getting myself into and make a plan. And the next thing in goal I had after losing the weight was, what am I going to do for my career? I want to do something to help out my career. So I either want to get a good internship, I want to get a good job. And so that was what I was searching for. And so it wasn't until March, it was in one of my math classes, someone came in and said, you get to learn how to run a business. It's in contracting, and we'll teach you everything. And I signed it. I said, perfect, sign me up. I don't even care what this is. I get to learn how to run a business in contracting. Amazing. That's my whole goal. And so I ended up going through the whole interview process. And I found out more that I get to learn how to sell, how to market, how to produce, how to hire. I get to learn all the skills of already wanting to be a CEO, entrepreneur, and have my own company. But I get to do that under someone else's guidance in the industry I already like. It was a no-brainer for me. I said, okay, deal. I don't care how much I got to work.
All right. So you got your system. So you go from high school, kind of going with the process, being competitive, to this life change, to this new system that works. Goal, here it is again, if you're listening, goal, why, plan, measure, commit. Then you come up with new goals, because when you hit a goal, stop and celebrate. Don't forget that, Conrad.
True, very true.
Then you get a new set of goals, and your new set of goals are, I need to work on my professional life. Serendipitously, again, someone comes to the math class, you choose the CollegeWorks thing. And if you're listening, it doesn't have to be the CollegeWorks thing, but it has to be really hard. And it has to get you out of your comfort zone. And it has to expose you to a bunch of skills, not just getting coffee. So you found you're actually running a business, and you kept saying, we never say contracting business, because CollegeWorks isn't for people that want to be in contracting business. CollegeWorks is for people that want to be in leadership. Most of them don't want to be in the contracting business.
Exactly.
So you hear what you hear, and you get started with that, and then the rest is history. Rookie manager, 90 grand manager, district manager of the year, district manager of the year, CEO by 23. So that's an amazing story. You didn't know to separate yourself, then you did know to separate yourself. And I'm going to ask you a question, and it's, what was your biggest struggle at CollegeWorks and how did you get through? But answer it in a way that would help people that can't do CollegeWorks because they don't live in one of the 12 Midwestern states, or don't want to do CollegeWorks because they're crazy. What was your biggest struggle? How did you get through? What did you learn, and how do you apply it to life now?
So my biggest struggle hit halfway through my first year. And I was incredibly unorganized, and I was stressed out, and I was just going, and I was reacting. I wasn't ever proactive. I never had a plan, a game plan. I was just always reacting. And so for everyone, and this was the big game changer for me, this is why I wanted to come back and be a DM and be able to teach other people this skill that helped me out so much. It was the aha clicking moment. And that was realizing that you have more control, and you can take more control in your life than you believe initially. And so why is that important? And how does that relate to organizing and planning? It's hard to take control, have a plan, accomplish your goals if you are not organized, you haven't even made a plan, and you're just reacting. It's very hard to take that step back and say, where do I want to be in 5 years? How am I going to get there? And go through the process that we've just talked about. If all you're doing is reacting to the stress, the stress is always going to be there. And actually, the stress is really only there and makes you feel very stressed because you don't have the systems and plan to know how you should react to it. And so taking that step back, getting that breather and saying, okay, how do I want to get there? Going through the list that we've talked about today was the big eye opener for me. And it's very simple as, something of, if I want to get in better shape, I can go on a walk every day. And just making that plan. My plan of action is to go on a walk every day. Of course, as you gain tolerance to that, you will keep constant improvement of that plan. But take the first step. The first step is not going on the walk. It's making the plan that I'm going to go on these walks, and this is why it's good for me, and buying into that.
Okay, so even though you're organized, even though you have a 5-step plan, even though you just changed your physical appearance in a major way, you still considered yourself not that organized. And life is practice, right? So sometimes you're crushing it and doing well, sometimes you're not. So even though you were doing it on this side of your life, you hadn't applied it to the business side of your life. So you needed to bring your organization skills into a new arena, the professional arena. Even though you were able to handle stress in sports, which isn't really that stressful, but handle stress of school, you grew up in a different generation than I did, with Instagram throwing stress and anxiety in your face all the time. Turn off the damn Instagram. It's all a lie. You needed to apply that to the business situation. So you sat down again. You didn't complain. You didn't say, okay, I'm not doing well enough. You got yourself organized. You figured out some stress handling skills, and you started to become proactive. So what do you mean by proactive? And what did you do that was proactive versus reactive? And how did you start to implement proactivity into your life?
Well, being proactive is just, for me, it was just actually planning what my day looks like and what's going to do. Something that simple was how I initially started, because I would always say this, my balance was definitely off when I started, and once I started pushing hard career-wise, because I never had, yes, I had a job in high school and stuff, but to actually be building a career I didn't have. So adding that in almost threw everything out of whack, because instead of going with the plan I had, I said, I'll focus on here and I'll figure it out. Well, what ended up happening is the first few months, I don't see myself eating as healthy as I should. I'm going, stop at the gas station. And so that plan starts going downhill. I'm not having as good of, like you said, free time. Gym, wasn't getting to the gym. And so taking a step back, and for me, it was the simple step of getting organized, of my day-to-day time management and life balance. That was my big step back. And so I think it's the first steps when you're adding something in and you get in this cycle of it's new, there's an extra stress, it's a lot of pressure, just react to it, fix it. How do I fix it? How do I get through it? How do I fix it? How do I get through it? But there's always going to be a next thing. You're always going to add something to the list. And so being able to just, whatever you're stressed about, whatever you're concerned about, taking a step away from it. And I think almost that distance gives you that mental clarity, because you don't see it when you're in it day to day in that cycle, trying to just get through the problem, fix the thing that popped up. I'm not getting enough sleep.
So you step back, you take a look at the situation. What's creating problems? You have a diagnostics.
Yep.
And then you make another plan and you're back to your 5 steps. Step back, diagnose. Now that's on the top of the plan. And then make a goal, figure out why, make a plan, measure it, commit to it.
Absolutely.
And if you're listening right now and, Conrad got himself organized, Conrad started putting in pre-work, started budgeting too much time, started prioritizing his day, was looking into the long term. There's a system you can get right on our website. So you'll hear it in the mid-reel because CollegeWorks pays for this podcast. So you can go on collegeworks.com/podcast and you can download our time management white paper, which is basically an hour-long talk that we condense to a white paper. There's also an episode on our podcast on time management. That's a 20-minute version of the same thing. And then YouTube, there's an hour-long version of the time management training that Conrad used to step back, take a look, diagnose, and then go through his system. So you've been doing that. That system works everywhere. That's probably some of the added value you brought to your new company. Can you tell us a little bit, now at the ripe old age of 23, what's your day in the life? What do you do as the CEO of this roofing company?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're transitioning out of, we did a lot of different projects, building new houses. We were working with different materials, and we're really focusing on specifically now asphalt and metal roofing and light commercial. So we'll do light commercial, like apartment complexes, and asphalt roofing, no more of the building and all of that stuff. So the day in the life for Conrad is show up, and first it's make sure everyone's going. Make sure we have Jimmy, Raphael, etc. Our day-to-day guys, either what is their workflow for the day that we've already planned out ahead of time. Are they running trailers? Are they going and helping on this project, etc. From there, they get going and step back into now sales for what projects do we currently have that we've just sold, and what of those projects needs to be plugged into the CRM system and materials ordered. Now, after that is where I get into a lot of the creating of systems. So I've been creating systems with every process, every part of the sales process. So one of my partners, for example, is amazing at sales. I mean, he sold massive roofs. Just sold a $250,000 roof, single roof, homeowner too. It's not an apartment complex, it's a home. And so he's great at sales, but my job is how can I get out what he does to succeed to be able to teach others, right? And that's a skill I've learned from CollegeWorks, and being able to manage and teach the systems. Is CollegeWorks does an amazing job of having a very organized system to teach students so they can gain those business skills. If CollegeWorks is very unorganized, it wouldn't be nearly as efficient as it is. And so how can I pull out that skill that he has to be able to sell the roofs? And how can I be able to create a system of training and a process to be able to hire someone, teach them that, and replicate it? So my big job, just with my experience, has been getting out what allows us to succeed. And a lot of that's just in their brain from the years of doing it, the years of experience, being able to be a decade-old company succeeding very well. How do we grow that now? How do we scale that? How can I bring in anyone that has the proper qualifications and now teach them the factors that create success for the individual partner? So that's a lot of times the second half of my day looks like, is creating those training and management systems after we get the day-to-day going, of course.
All right. So you start off and you're checking your plan back to your system again. Your plan and your metrics for production, sales, supplies. Then back to your system again. You're proactively creating a system and a plan for the future, sales systems, production systems. You're identifying what works, what doesn't work every day, training what works, getting rid of what doesn't work. You didn't mention finance. I'm sure there's some finance meetings in there to make sure that the bank lines are funding and the cash is coming in and the payments are collected. The all important thing that us sales guys tend to forget when we're talking about business. Okay, so that's fantastic. By the way, is that a picture of your dad behind you?
No, this was my College Works book.
Oh, it is right behind you. I thought it was a framed picture of your dad. It's actually your book of College Works.
Yeah, of your dad. Come on, awesome. I got to have that reminder.
And for the record, I did not call your dad and talk to him about you getting married or not. If I had, he would have told me that you're engaged. I have one more question for you before I let you go. If you went way back in time, usually people are over 30 that I have on this. Sometimes they're over 40. Sometimes they're even over 50. And we can say, hey, what would you tell your 20-year-old self to do again? Like, what did you sacrifice? Maybe it was the football thing. What did you sacrifice that at the time you thought was going to be a regret, but looking back, you'd go back in time and say, do it again, do it again, do it again?
What would I sacrifice?
What sacrifice did you make that you're so glad you made?
I think for me, the hardest one that changed everything would be, fortunately, giving up the cleats. As much as I hate to say that, I needed to know what was best for me, not what I wanted to do. I was the type of person where I still can't straighten my elbow. I'd tape everything up, my knees, ankles. I'd be a walking board out there. But as long as I can get out there and play, that's what I wanted. And so I had to take that emotion out of it and say, okay, if I look at this objectively, what are you doing? You are destroying your body. You're absolutely destroying your body. You're not letting it heal. You're just pushing through the pain. And so I think that was the one thing that I would tell myself going back, you made the right decision. The one thing I would say that I wish I, of course, would have learned earlier, but a big thing with me going back was taking self-ownership and really buying into myself. Because I know when I first started, with College Works, and I'm sure this is every salesperson of, oh, that was the bad customer. Oh, I could never have sold them. Oh, that was just not a good lead. That was not this. That was not this. Okay, well, you're not doing anything about it at that point. There's nothing good.
You're not in control. Keep yourself in control.
Yeah, take some ownership. And how are you going to allow success for you and others? Because at the end of the day, if you can't control it, why are you letting it beat you up?
Yeah.
Let's focus on succeeding with what you can control.
Yeah. If an airplane crashed into my house today, I wouldn't be pissed off at the airline. I'd wonder why I didn't move yesterday, because at least I have control. Well, Conrad Kaminsky, you're looking good.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see you after all these weeks since I last saw you. Feels like years, though. Really appreciate you taking time out of your super busy job, probably a bit of proving yourself to others. And
absolutely.
We wish you all the luck, all the luck and all the success. Your dad's proud of you. Your mom's proud of you. College Works is proud of you. I'm proud of you. We all believe in you. Thanks for making time for the Edge of Excellence.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, and keep inspiring people like me.
Okay.